months after the genocide in the Gaza Strip, the diplomatic isolation of Israel for the crimes committed against the Palestinian people increases. In Russia, the third day of the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg is taking place as President Vladimir Putin participates in the analysis of world events and their impact. And at least 40 people were killed in Sudan following an attack by a paramilitary group. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll be with the news. Stay with us. In Venezuela, the President Nicolás Maduro handed over the areas recovered in the Dr. José Rafael Rangel Hospital in the city of Villa de Cura, located in the state of Aragua, in order to strengthen the country's health sector. During the inaugural activity, the President walked along with the hospital staff, presenting the rehabilitating spaces, such as operating rooms, hospitalization rooms for children and adults, maternity, and post-operative care.
Well, now we have to take care of it. Keep it beautiful. Make sure it doesn't deteriorate again, because we have learned to do a lot with what we have. And as the economy recovers more and more, and I have the reins of the economy, and as we get more stability in a more balanced way, as we grow more, then more funds come in. And where is that money going to? To public education, to high schools, to universities, to repair hospitals, the CIDs. They want to privatize education and healthcare. We're improving them with a one-time staying good governance system. To improve, to improve, to improve. That's the word of the day. To improve, advance, and succeed.
Upon leaving the Dr. José Rafael Rangel Hospital located in Villa de Cura, the President was received with hugs by people who expressed their solidarity, support, and rejection to the unilateral sanctions of the U.S. Villa de Cura reiterates its support to the administration carried out by the dignitary with mobilizations demanding the lifting of the unilateral coercive measures imposed by the United States and its allies of the European Union. The government of China strengthened relations with Latin America through meetings with the senior officials from Brazil, Venezuela, and Cuba. Let's see.
During the meeting with Brazilian Vice President Geraldo Alckmin, Chinese President Xi Jinping highlighted the importance of Brazil on the international stage and reaffirmed his friendship with the South American giant.
China and Brazil are good like-minded friends, good partners sharing good moments and bad moments, and good brothers moving forward hand in hand. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of bilateral diplomatic relations. Throughout these 50 years, the two sides have carried out exchanges and cooperation and deepened their friendship with the aim of building a community with a shared future.
In this regard, the Vice President of Brazil, Geraldo Alckmin, indicated that President Luis Inácio Lula da Silva has committed himself to making sustainable development a reality in Brazil, following the example of the Chinese government. In this context, China's top political advisor, Wang Huning, received the Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Gil as part of the new historic period between the two nations. The Venezuelan diplomat said that the Latin American country fully supports the global initiatives proposed by the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Meanwhile, Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez met with Political Bureau Standing Committee member Li Xi in an effort to consolidate bilateral inter-party ties. China continues to support Cuba in the search for a socialist path that suits its national conditions and in defense of its sovereignty. The Chinese government seeks to enhance strategic interests with Latin American countries as part of a strategy to confront Western threats to destabilize the global economy.
Now let's take a look at Venezuelan Foreign Minister Ivan Hill's tour of the Asian giant. Hill has had an intense day in Beijing since he arrived in the country last Tuesday with a delegation with the aim of continuing the work undertaken by the Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro in the consolidation of the strategic alliances. Afterward, the Venezuelan diplomat participated in various activities, starting with the annunciation of the Simón Bolívar Square located in the Venezuelan embassy in Beijing. The Venezuelan Foreign Minister also spoke with his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi and attended the reception to mark the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between China and Venezuela, together with the Vice President of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of China, Wei Wan. In the continuation of the work agenda in the Asian giant, the Venezuelan Foreign Minister met with the President of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Conference, Wang Hunin. The meeting, which he describes as a fruitful focus on the solid political and diplomatic alliances between the two countries. He also met with the director of the Chinese National Space Administration, Shan Kejian, to continue the space collaboration agreement signed in 2023, which includes the training of Venezuelan astronauts in China and future missions to the moon. The Venezuelan Chancellor was also at the China Institute for International Studies, where he discussed the importance of working to strengthen the education systems through student exchanges and scholarships. Finally, Ivan Hill held a dialogue with the Vice President of the National People's Assembly of China, Wu Weiwan, to discuss issues of shared interests and explore the ways to strengthen integration. Cuba received 3 photovoltaic parks provided by China to strengthen its energy matrix. The installations provided by Chinese Agency for International Cooperation and Development represents a significant investment, since the 3 parks generate 12 megawatts of energy and are synchronized to the national electric system. The landmark marks the beginning of an investment offensive aimed at adding 1,000 megawatts to Cuba's energy matrix, in addition to reducing fuel consumption in electricity generation. The Venezuelan government announced that it imported more than 260,000 tons of rice to supply the domestic demand due to the impact of the storm in Rio Grande do Sul. The government's plans was opposed by Rio Grande do Sul's growers, who supplies about 70% of Brazil's production, and by the national agriculture lobbies. The administration emphasized that the purchase will influence traders to bring prices down by selling at lower prices to the the import amount. On Thursday, Uruguayans bid farewell to the communist militant Amelia Sanjurjo, who went missing during dictatorship period from 1973 to 1985. Her body was found last year, but experts could only confirm her identity on May 28. 2024. At the University of the Republic in Montevideo, the mothers of relatives of the detained and disappeared Association of Famidesa, alongside hundreds of people, summoned a parade to Sanjurjo's coffin. Militants was abducted on November 2, 1977, on a street in Montevideo. She was a 40-year-old bookseller, pregnant woman. Officials records reveal she passed away by being beaten up in La Tablada venue of the coordinating entity of the anti-survivors operations.
For those of us who were born during the Uruguayan dictatorship, it means many things. It means being aware that there were people before us who fought for a country with more solidarity, more justice. Unfortunately, fascism ended their lives. But 50 years later we can say goodbye to their remains. It is something touching for everyone.
It is necessary for the country itself to look for the missing people, and those culprits speak out, because the people needs. Relatives need somewhere to leave a little flower, and to know that they have found them. It cannot be they are still missing. All they need is to bring a closure.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can now join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In Russia, the third day of the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg is taking place, where President Vladimir Putin participates in the analysis of world events and their impact. The Russian president highlighted the state of trade relations in the world, as well as the development of technological transformations. Putin highlighted constant changes in the financial, transport, and military sectors.
Our goal is to turn into the world's fourth largest economy. The World Bank added estimations last week, in which it positioned Russia on the fourth place ahead of Japan. We occupy now at this point the fourth position in terms of GDP, but it's not about calculations. We officially obtained the fourth place, but we are very close to Japan and Germany. We are ahead them, but with a very slight difference. So we need to increase the gap between Russia and those countries. Our primary task is to consolidate our leadership to ensure very high pace regarding the quality of growth and development in the long term.
Likewise, President Putin stated he will increase the breakthrough of digital updates in the new economic project.
Structural change stems from the digital revolution and platforms that are actually trustworthy. In this case, it's about introducing more digitalization based on artificial intelligence, and until 2030 we'll set digital platforms in all key economic and social sectors. In addition, this is related to the new national project dedicated to the data economy. In the upcoming 6 years, no less than 80% of the key economy organizations must switch to domestically developed software in their production and management processes. In this case, we see the possibility to leave the profit tax for IT companies at 5% to be effective until 2030.
For his part, Bolivia President Luis Arce told the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg that today's economies have broken the hegemony of the U.S.
The economies gathered in this successful bloc have broken the hegemony of the United States, and cooperation and complementarity among countries are emerging as a hope for development. As we know, today's world is a reflection of the multidimensional crisis of the capitalist system, which has manifested itself in at least 7 crises.
In this way, Arce also stressed that Bolivia's economic model has been proven to reduce poverty and inequality.
The productive social community economic model has demonstrated its capacity to reduce poverty and inequality levels thanks to its distributive policies and the maintenance of price stability, when the rest of the world was experiencing a highly inflationary and recessionary period.
In Russia, Bolivian President Luis Arce received an honorary doctorate degree for his achievements from St. Petersburg State University. The university affirmed that the Bolivian president made a considerable contribution to the development of international cooperation between La Paz and Moscow. Arce gave a lecture at the International Economic Forum in St. Petersburg on the Bolivian economic model, in which he highlighted the positioning of Bolivia as an alternative to the economic slowdown. The Russian armed forces shot down 28 Ukrainian drones flying over the southwest of the country. The Russian Defense Ministry said that the enemy aerial vehicles were intercepted over different parts of the provinces of Belgorod and Crimea. The Russian agency described Kiev's military attack as terrorists because they are aimed at destroying residential areas. During his visit to France, U.S. President Joe Biden announced the provision of $225 million in military assistance to Ukraine. After the meeting with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, the U.S. President restated his support for Kiev. This is a part of the Western offensive against the consolidation of Russia's leadership in the world. Let us remember that Moscow denounced the supply of arms and equipment by the Atlantic Alliance, whose aim is the invasion of its territory. Eight months after the beginning of the genocide and the constant diplomatic isolation of Israel against the people of the Gaza Strip, the international community's rejection of the crimes against humanity committed by the Tel Aviv army is growing. Several humanitarian organizations have expressed their repudiation of Israel in the view of the massacres against the Palestinian people that exceed 36,731 people killed. The number of wounded has reached 83,530. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported nearly 25,000 sick and wounded Palestinians are waiting for medical treatment after the closure of the border with Rafah. Many of the patients could save their life if they managed to leave the enclave to be treated abroad. Detailed that more than 11,000 wounded, 10,000 patients with cancer, and another 2,000 with several pathologies are unable to access the necessary care because of the incursion of the Israeli occupation army into the city of Rafah last May. Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to join us on our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on the screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with teleSUR when financial breakdown go away. Welcome back. At least 4 people were killed in Sudan following an attack by paramilitary groups. The Karari Resistance Committee denounced that the aggressions was carried out by the Quick Support Forces and left more than 50 wounded. The committee added that most of the victims were transferred to the university hospital all now. Previously, in a similar event in the center of the country, an irregular group killed 104 people, among them children. One person dead and more than 30 trapped in a mine collapse in Nigeria caused by rainfalls. The emergency services carried out several search and rescue operations with excavators to save the workers. For this reason, they plan to widen the deep shafts in order to facilitate the locations of the miners. This despite the instability of the terrain and the insecurity due to the actions of criminal gangs operating in the area. The gold mine is located in the town of Gakogo and is owned by the company African Minerals and Logistics.
Never, ever fails to deliver.
And now we're shifting topics. The United Kingdom Prime League clubs vote on Thursday to keep the video assistance refereeing technology known as VAR, but with some changes for next season. Let's see.
The vote, which was 19-1 in favor of retaining the technology, was taken at the initiative of Wolverhampton Wanderers, who have criticised video assistant referees known as VAR for making mistakes, taking away from the excitement of the game, lengthening matches, and causing interruptions. However, the Premier League has confirmed that improvements will be made to ensure that VAR is used correctly in the competition, including maintaining a high standard of intervention, leading to greater consistency and fewer interruptions to the flow of the game.
And France Football Magazine announced that Men's and Women 2024 the Ballon d'Or Award, also known in English as Golden Ball, will be handed over in the banks of the Senior River on October 28th. In this regard, organizers also add that the Copa Trophy for the best player under 21, the Yashin's Trophy for the best goalkeeper, and the best coaches for men and women will also be awarded on that day. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.